Hello and welcome to another episode that deals with ways to better living. This is your host as always, Coolio, and today's topic will be dealing with a little bit more, not as to the outside physical dealings of like job and all what we've discussed, but this one will be of eternal in the sense of mentally, emotionally, and things like that we're going to discuss. So I'll call it coping mechanism, I would say, of dealing with whether you're facing stress, depression, or because stress develop from someone worried too much of something of a sort, whatever that may be. So this is coping mechanism way that you can use to be able to deal with stress and depression and worry and all these things. And this might be a 2-episode dealing, so as of now I cannot guarantee, but it might be a two episode, part 1 and part 2. So the first thing we're going to want to discuss, which is the ground root of stress, is worry. What causes people to worry? A lot of people do not know that the thing that they worry about is not something they really do need to worry about. And so that end up causing them stress, and that stress, as it develops, becomes depression. And depression got 3 stages, and if you're not careful, the 3rd stage is one that's not easy to get out of. So, and that's when people rely on medication and be put on be medicated for the rest of their life to deal with that, which they can never get rid of, because the medication is not there to change your thought pattern of stop worrying. It just pretty much in a way of for you not to speak about what you're worrying about, in a sense. But before we go all, I'm just giving a ground as to how the situation develops. It starts with worrying. You worry about something or someone, and then that develops into stress, because when you worry too much, the moment you start worrying, you yourself will realize that it gets intense to the point where it causes you stress. And this stress, people always want to associate anxiety to stress and worry. No, the two are separate. If you look up the word anxiety itself, comes from the word anxious. And anxious doesn't mean you worrying about something. You already know it's something good. Anxious means something good. So you're anxious because you know something good is on the way to you, just as you will do. Like now, when you shop online, you're anxiously waiting for that parcel. Why? Because you know what you're getting in the mail. So that's what anxiety is, because you expressing your anxiousness towards receiving that anxiety. But it's not something that's bad. It's just these days they use it as if it's bad and put your medication for it. No, but that's another topic. But we're gonna get into that as well. Oh, we start with worry. What causes people to worry? For a grown-up, there are many things. Even a child do worry. What causes a child to worry? Some children worry for whoever they might be close with in their family. They worry about that person. Why? Because they want that person to always be around because they're close with that person. So they worry that what if one day they could not be, that person is not around. So that starts the worry for them, which end up becomes stress. And it's not something that a child should go through, but it does happen. So what of a grown-up? A grown-up, they worry for no such reason. At least for a child, you could understand that part of worrying about someone they really close with. But does it really necessary for a grown-up to worry about another grown-up? Not really. Why? Just like that child, you'll be telling that child you got no control over that situation. So for the fact that you do not have control of it, you worry about it, you do not worry about it, it's still whatever was going to happen will happen. So you worrying about it is not going to change the situation. It just means you putting yourself in a place where you don't need to be for no reason, absolutely. But if you tell someone that, they'll be like, oh, you just did it. What does worry does? Absolutely nothing. Whether you think about it or you don't think about it, if it's going to happen, you thinking about it is not going to change it. You not thinking about it is not going to change it. So it will not change that situation. So you put that in every aspect, whether it comes to you worrying about someone, or worry about something that you might lose, or worry about money that you're not sure if it's going to come in the time, or whatever the case may be. It's just you putting yourself up for you to be sick over something you have no control. The thing you have control of, say you got your TV, you turn it on, you turn it off. You got that control of turning it on and off. But at the same time, someone could worry that one day they're going to turn it on and it doesn't come on. Do you have control over that? No. When that happens, what does that mean? It means it's broken. You need a new one. So if you worry about it's going to be broken when you're not sure when it will be, does that really make sense for you to worry about that? It's the same with human being. You worry about someone. It's the same as to you do not know that person action down the road in the future. So what do? Now that you have the person, you spend the time with the person. So when that time comes, it will be easier for you to deal with it because you already spend time with the person. But if you're not spending time with the person, but you worrying about the person constantly not being there, would that help you? No. You have that time now. So instead of worrying about it, spend the time. Because a lot of the time, worry comes from people worrying of each other. So instead of you worrying about the person, spend the time with the person. Because that time you're spending to worry about them, if you're with the person, you're not worried about it. You're not thinking about, oh, that time coming when they're not going to be around, because you do not know. So spend the time, because now you say you have the person around. Spend the time with the person and not worry about when they're going to disappear. So by the time, if that do end up happening, you know you have that time that you did spend with the person. Yes, you will miss the person, but you will not be worrying about them. Why? Because you did the time you have with them can still be consoling to you for their absence. People always said, oh, I'm worried about you. Alright, why? Well, enjoy if you're not going to be around. Well, I'm around now. So, why are you worried now? Now for me, for when I'm not going to be around? Are you expecting me not to be around? I'm not saying this as of a personal experience. It's just how it happens. You might have that experience where someone says they're worried about you because of you might not be around. I'm around now. Then the person will be like, yes, I know you're around now. Well, then now that I'm around, what's stopping you from spending the time with me that you're worrying about? If I'm not around, you will not spend time with me. Does that make sense to anyone? To me, it makes sense. So, say this one we just end up dealing about worry. So, like I said earlier, worry leads to stress, because as it develops, it becomes intense, and that worriness, this leads to stress. And how do you know when it's stress? Stress is the one that starts giving you headache. Because remember how I mentioned about headache earlier in when we were dealing about the topic of hospital medication and healthcare in general. I talk about headache. What causes headache? That shift in your thoughts for something you do not have control over, but now you worry so much that you start having headache constantly. That's the sign of stress, where you're having headache constantly, and every time, as soon as you think a little bit or something happen where you gotta think more outside of what you already, it causes you headache. That's a sign of stress. A lot of the time that you stress, depending on how that stress is there. So with that, what happened? You keep going further and further into depression. And when depression kicking in, depression is what comes with migraine. So once you start having constant migraine, you might not know this, but that's depression starting off. You said you got that headache, that's right there, that's depression. A lot of people do not associate migraine with depression. Why? Because even one food, they want you to kill the headache before anything. So it's not helping the thought pattern that's causing it. It just numb it for that few hours that it's going to numb it, and then comes back. So, are you really curing the disease when it has to do with your thinking? No. So, with that said, I will stop here for today. So, the next time we'll continue, since we just discussing now, branching everything, worry to stress and depression. We'll continue into how worry gradually leads to stress. Though I already touched base on all, but we'll continue in that form. So with that said, it's your host Coolio saying God bless and have a wonderful time.